Hi guys, welcome to another video from betfairtradingcommunity.com. Today I just wanted to talk about a topic that I call Sod's Law in Betfair trading. First off, I'll just say that obviously I haven't done a lot of live videos. I think it's only the second one I've done. So if there's any technical issues or issues with anything, just let me know in the comments and I can improve the video for next time. But yeah, basically I just wanted to talk about Sod's Law in Betfair trading. I did a podcast on this, so if you don't listen to the podcast, they're well worth listening to. Just go on betfairtradingcommunity.com and you can basically just view them, listen to them at your leisure. I think they're on iTunes as well, so maybe just search Sod's Law Betfair Trading Community, and hopefully you can find it. Although I don't use iTunes, so I don't really know myself. Hi Terry, welcome to the video. Hope you're well, mate. Great to have you here. And yeah, so what is Sod's Law? Now, I don't know if it's just a UK phrase, so I don't know if people in America or Australia or our members in Europe will know what this phrase really means. And it's not the easiest to explain, but I'm kind of just going to go off the top of my head of what I think it means. And basically, to me, it's kind of similar to Murphy's Law. I don't know if you've heard of Murphy's Law, but Murphy's Law is just the phrase that whatever can go wrong will go wrong. And Sod's Law is kind of like that, but more in an ironic kind of way. So the way I equate it to Betfair trading is this. Often, and I want to know if you've noticed this, because I believe this is quite a common thing, and I'm really interested to hear your thoughts and some of your stories on what might have happened with Sod's Law. But often I've found that you can test a strategy. Let's say I test a strategy, I get a few hundred results, I'm ready to trade it, you know, I haven't been using money because I'm just testing it, and then when I come to actually putting money down, I have a bad run, right? So I maybe get 4 or 5 losses in a row, which obviously when you're first putting money on a strategy really dents the confidence, doesn't it? Really knocks you back. And the amount of times this happens is kind of what I call Sod's Law. So it's when you're doing something, you maybe slightly change it. So in this instance, I'm testing a strategy. The only change I actually make is that I go live with the money, using money to trade it. And obviously then you hit a bad run. And it's amazing how often this will happen when you're first testing a new strategy. And that's what Sod's Law is to me. And I know I've had a few people actually talk to me about it recently, which is why I came up with the topic. Like I said, I've done a podcast on this. So if you do like this video, go and listen to that, because that will be a longer one and a little bit more in depth than this one. But it's really interesting, isn't it? I mean, why does this phenomenon happen? I don't really have a clear answer for that. The only thing I can think is that maybe it doesn't happen as often as we think. But the problem is, when it does happen, it really sticks in our minds, because we're really excited about a strategy, we've been testing it, it's been profitable, and then the moment we go live with money, bam, we hit a bad run. Now, what's interesting is that I've actually gone back and looked through some of the strategies I've tested in the past, or that I'm testing now, and there are points where you're testing where you do hit these bad runs as well. Even on very good strategy test, you hit bad runs, right? And I think, I mean, there was one the other day where I was quite early on in testing, and I wasn't sure about the strategy anyway, so I kind of thought I might knock this on the head. I think it was a first half goal strategy, and it was only striking just over 60%, and this was if a game was 0-0 at 15 minutes, which to be fair isn't bad, but it's just not what I want. I want it up around the 70% mark to make good money. And I was kind of thinking knock it on the head, and then the funny thing is I thought, you know, I'll carry on, you know, I'll get at least another 100 results, just see where the next batch take me. And then I think the next 15 or 16 games in a row were winners. And it's actually on my sheet, so if you remember, you've obviously got access to our master sheet of testing. I think it's just called GFHG, so because I think it's Glenn's first half goal system that I'm testing. And yeah, it's amazing. You can actually see the routes where it had a bad run, and then bang, just a massive long run of winners in a row. So it really is interesting, isn't it? Why does this happen? Why does this phenomenon happen? And I think the most important thing, and probably the only advice I can give on this, is to not give up on a strategy when this happens. See, I think human nature will make you want to give up on a strategy when you go live with money and it hits 4 or 5 bad losers in a row. And I've seen it. I've seen it with members on our forum, and I totally get the psychology of that. The thing is, if you've tested a strategy thoroughly, you've got a few hundred results, been a profitable strategy, and now you're putting money on it. Well, even if you have a bad run to start with, that doesn't actually mean that it's a bad strategy. In fact, it doesn't really tell you anything, because you're then only taking into account those 4 or 5 results you've had since you went live. You're then abandoning all the other statistical data you had from before that was favorable, and just going, oh yeah, but this little patch. And the fact is, it's just happened at the wrong time when you went live. If it had happened during testing, you probably would still be profitable, so it wouldn't matter as much. You'd see the line. The important thing is to kind of get that snake, that graph line going upwards, right? If you can just get that keeping to go upwards, you will have bad runs, you'll have bad results. And I said this, I think I said this in a podcast, but every trader has bad runs, right? Every trader has bad variance. Don't believe, sometimes I see people out there claiming, I saw one guy, he claimed, he's making some grand claims about trading, said he never had a losing trade, and I thought, yeah, because you've probably never actually put any serious money down, have you? Let's be honest. Because at the end of the day, no pro trader has never had a losing or a bad day or a bad run. That's just the nature of the beast. That's the way it goes. So yeah, basically that's what I'd say on the subject. I'd say don't let it dishearten you. Of course, keep tracking the results, work out whether it's worth going to. The other thing is, if you are really worried after a bad run like that and you don't want to keep putting your money on, don't. You don't have to. You can keep testing. Test further. Test until you've got enough confidence. When you do put your money on, you can ride out the variance, because it is hard, and it's psychologically hard, and it hit you hard when you start a system live and it doesn't do well for you. But just remember that at the end of the day, as long as that graph is heading in the right direction, then it's absolutely worth carrying on with. And I agree, Tony, if there is a weakness to your strategy, it isn't paranoia, that's right. But that's why you keep testing it, isn't it? That's why you don't throw out what's that phrase? You don't throw out the babe with the bathwater, right? Because so many people do that. They might be onto something, but they throw it all out just because of one bad run. And it's like, but hang on, you've got hundreds of results that were going up. I mean, a really good example of this, obviously, if you remember, you'll know all about this, is Richard's ELO system, where it had a rough patch, I think the end of August, start of September. And then again, it went on a winning run, a really good winning run. I think it was like 70 points up last year. Now, if he hadn't done all that back testing, he might have scrapped that strategy. If he hadn't been doing it for a year, he might have gone after that bad run. Oh, that's just bad, and it's obviously a bad strategy. Well, a few results. This is the thing to remember about. If you're a serious trader, right? This is the thing to trading. A handful of results are irrelevant, right? Statistically, a handful of results don't really tell you much. Okay, you see it. If you've ever played, let's say, right, someone who doesn't know much about trading but might have done roulette offers or whatever in the past, or spun roulette wheels, how often do you see a roulette wheel hit the same color 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times in a row, right? It shouldn't. Statistically, it's really unlikely to happen, but it does happen, and it does happen quite often actually. If you spin roulette wheels and things, and you've done as many spins as I've done in the past, you'll know that happens, quite regularly. So it's really interesting, isn't it, that a lot of people will lose faith based on one bad run of a handful of results. But really, statistically, ask, and if you don't believe this, go and ask any data scientist, right? My sister's a data scientist. She works for one of these big companies, doing all sorts of analysis. And if I said to her, would you take 5 results as indicative of actually how good a strategy or system is, she'd probably laugh me out of the room. And I said, no, of course not. I want hundreds of results. That's how I know if something works. So that's what I'll say on that matter. Of course, your system might not be any good, right? But if you've tested it thoroughly, you can go with it for a while. You can go back to testing again. And maybe if that decline does continue for ages and it becomes an unprofitable system over a longer period, then by all means, you're right, get rid of it. But if it's just unprofitable for 1 month and then every other month it's profitable, leave it there, guys. And I hope everyone is doing well. I know that, God, they're thinking of doing more restrictions in the UK, right? So it could be a nightmare for people. Interesting question, Peter. How many do you think is needed realistically? I said before, as a very low minimum, because people come to me on the forum with systems and they say, Martin, have a look at this. What do you think? And what I always say is, if they're early in testing, so say they've got, people often come to me with 50 results, 100 results, and I'll say to them, look, come back when you've got at least 200, 250 results, at least, right? And that's a baseline. And then I want to test it further. So yeah, you're probably right. I'd want a few hundred results, maybe 500. And the thing is, some people get deterred by that because if you've only got a few selections a week, you might find it takes you a year to get that good amount of data. But think about it. If you test something for a year and it's going well, then you're ready to go live with it and you've got something you're confident can make money. Surely that's more beneficial than only giving it a couple of months. You're not quite confident, you're not quite sure, and then actually it turns out it wasn't a good strategy, but you hadn't tested enough. So yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think 500 is a very good number. If you can get to 500, that will tell you a lot about it. The other thing is, once you do go live, keep testing it, right? If you're putting money on it, great, but keep testing it. Don't just go, oh, I'm just going to keep putting money on it, and then forget to record the results and data. Check the trends. Because if it does start going on a negative trend for a long period, then that is a major concern and something you will need to address. So, you know, just make sure you're doing that. And I'm always encouraged because I see so many guys on our forum, you know, doing great work, testing their strategies, going live with them. And yeah, if you do hit Sod's Law, don't be too deterred. Keep on with it, because if it's a good strategy that's tested well for a long period, then there's no reason to throw the baby out with the bathwater. And you know, just stay confident with it. And just say a quick thanks to everyone as well, because I got such nice feedback on the last live video I did. That's the reason I'm doing this one. I'm still kind of trying to get my head around this live stuff, but I know people like it, and I think it's quite good because I don't plan for my videos, as you can probably tell, and I think that's quite good because I like the fact it comes off the top of the head, because I know in this industry a lot of people do worry about people they don't know and whether they can trust people and what people know about trading, etc, etc. And I've been fortunate enough that I've had a massive background in trading for many years, so fortunately, not through anything other than hard work and learning, I do know what I'm talking about, and hopefully that comes across in these, but it may not, so if it doesn't, feel free to give me pelters, but yeah, just have to say thank you for the lovely feedback and comments on the last video, because it does make a difference. You know, we don't have to do this, you know, that's the truth of it is I make my living trading, that's what I do, that's my love, that's my passion. This is just, I like to give something back, so it's great to hear that other people appreciate that, and obviously do get the odd numpty come out with nonsense comments, but you know, if that's what you enjoy doing, feel free to do that as well. I welcome that, whatever, man. It's water off a duck's back for me. So yeah, thanks for lovely comments, guys, and I'll speak to you all again soon.